The year was 1997. It was a time of change and uncertainty in Russia, but for 10-year-old Olga, it was just another day filled with the promise of adventure. 10-year-old Olga skipped along the pavement, her pigtails bouncing with each joyful step. She wore her favorite red dress, the one her grandmother had sewn for her. It was a bright spring day in Nizhny Novgorod, Russia. The air was crisp, and the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the city. The streets were alive with the sounds of children playing and birds singing. Olga's mother had finally agreed to let her walk alone to her grandmother's house. It was a momentous occasion for Olga, a sign that she was growing up and could be trusted with more responsibility. It was a short walk, just a few blocks through the familiar neighborhood. The path was lined with blooming flowers and the occasional passerby who greeted Olga with a smile. Olga knew the way well. She had walked this path many times with her mother, and now she felt a sense of pride and independence as she walked it alone. She was excited to show her mother she was a big girl now. Each step she took was filled with confidence and a sense of adventure. She smiled as she went, her small hand clutching a few rubles for sweets. She had planned to stop by the corner store to buy her favorite candy before reaching her grandmother's house. But Olga never made it to her grandmother's house. The streets that once seemed so familiar and safe now held an ominous silence. Her family searched frantically, their hearts heavy with worry and fear. The neighborhood that had been filled with the sounds of life now echoed with the cries of a family desperate to find their beloved Olga. Days turned into weeks. Weeks bled into months. Olga's disappearance tore through her family like a bitter wind. Her mother, racked with guilt and fear, could barely function. Search parties combed the city, their hope dwindling with each passing day. Olga's face, frozen in a youthful smile, stared back from missing posters plastered on every surface. The police investigation yielded few clues, each dead end deepening the family's despair. The once vibrant life of a little girl reduced to a ghost, haunting the city streets. Months later, a group of children playing in a derelict building stumbled upon a gruesome discovery. Hidden beneath some rubble, barely concealed, lay Olga's small body. The news spread like wildfire. The city, once holding its breath in hope, exhaled in collective grief. The post-mortem examination revealed the horrific truth. Olga had been murdered for the few rubles she carried, a life so brutally extinguished for so little. The family, already drowning in sorrow, was dealt the final blow. Years passed, the rawness of grief dulled into a dull ache. Olga's family, forever scarred, tried to rebuild their lives. They visited her grave regularly, a small patch of earth adorned with faded flowers. They spoke to her, shared their joys and sorrows, seeking solace in the silent earth. Unbeknownst to them, the grave offered no comfort to Olga. Her final resting place was empty, a cruel trick of fate. Section 5. The Scholar. Anatoly Moskvin was a man of contradictions. An acclaimed historian and linguist in Nizhny Novgorod, he spoke 13 languages and was an expert in Celtic history. His knowledge spanned across various cultures and epochs, making him a revered figure in academic circles. He lectured at the local university, his students captivated by his intellect. His lectures were not just informative, but also deeply engaging, often leaving his audience in awe of his vast knowledge and unique insights. Behind his scholarly facade lurked a dark obsession. Despite his academic brilliance, there was a side to Moskvin that few knew about, a side that was shrouded in mystery and darkness. Moskvin harbored a fascination with death, a morbid curiosity that extended beyond the academic. He was often seen wandering through cemeteries at dusk, reading old tombstones and pondering the lives of those who had passed. He frequented cemeteries, studied burial rituals, and amassed a macabre collection of bones. His interest in the dead was not just a scholarly pursuit, but a personal obsession that consumed much of his time and energy. His eccentricities, dismissed by some as harmless quirks of a scholar, hid a sinister truth. While many saw him as a brilliant but eccentric academic, there were those who sensed that there was something more to his fascination with death, something far more disturbing. Rumors began to circulate about his activities, whispers of grave robbing and other macabre deeds. The local authorities started to take notice, and an investigation was launched. What they discovered was shocking. Moskvin had been exhuming bodies and taking them home, where he would mummify them and keep them as macabre trophies. His home was filled with the remains of the dead, a chilling testament to his dark obsession. Moskvin was eventually arrested and put on trial. The revelations of his activities shocked the community and the academic world. The man who had once been celebrated for his intellect was now infamous for his gruesome deeds. The scholar, once a figure of respect and admiration, had become a symbol of the thin line between genius and madness. His story serves as a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind even the most brilliant minds. Section 6. The Secret Life of Anatoly Moskvin. Unbeknownst to his colleagues and neighbors, Moskvin led a double life. Driven by his twisted desires, he began to exhume the bodies of young girls. He saw it not as desecration, but preservation. He believed he could communicate with the dead, offer them a semblance of life after death. His apartment, crammed with books and artifacts, became his workshop of horrors. He mummified the bodies, dressed them in colorful clothes, and applied makeup to their lifeless faces. Section 7. The Doll's House. The line between reality and delusion blurred for Moskvin. He created elaborate backstories for each of his dolls, giving them names and personalities. He threw birthday parties for them, played music for them, believing he was comforting their souls. His apartment, once a sanctuary of knowledge, transformed into a grotesque dollhouse of the dead. The air thick with the scent of decay, the silence punctuated by Moskvin's whispers to his inanimate companions. For years his horrific secret remained hidden.